Alex had always been a curious young man. He was the kind of person who loved exploring old places, finding things that others overlooked. On a lazy Sunday afternoon, while cleaning out his late grandfather's attic, he stumbled across a small, dusty wooden chest tucked into a corner. The chest looked ancient, its edges worn, and it was covered in thick layers of dust that had collected over years. Alex's heart raced with excitement. He loved mysteries, and he knew that whatever was inside this chest would be special. With careful hands, he lifted the lid. Inside, he found several old trinkets, letters, and photographs, reminders of his grandfather's long and interesting life. But among them, something caught his eye more than anything else: a lamp. It wasn't an ordinary lamp. Its metal was dull but had strange, delicate engravings all over it. It seemed out of place, almost magical. Alex picked it up and turned it over in his hands, examining it carefully. He rubbed the surface lightly, half as a joke, half out of habit, as if he could clean the lamp without needing cloth or polish. At first, nothing happened. He chuckled at himself, thinking it was just another old antique with no value other than sentiment. But then something extraordinary occurred. A thick swirl of blue smoke erupted from the spout of the lamp. It twisted and turned in the air, forming a shape that gradually solidified into a figure. Alex froze. He had read stories about genies in books as a child, but he had never imagined he would see one in real life. The figure in front of him was tall, with sharp, intelligent eyes that seemed to look straight into his soul. She wore flowing robes that shimmered with colors that changed depending on the angle of light, almost like a living rainbow. She had an aura of calm power, something both intimidating and comforting at the same time. Alex could hardly believe what he was seeing.
Who are you?
He asked, his voice trembling slightly. I am Leora, the figure said, her voice melodic yet firm. I am a genie, and you have released me from the lamp. You now have 3 wishes. But know this: every wish carries consequences, and I have seen countless humans make choices they later regret. Alex's mind spun. 3 wishes? A genie? This was exactly like the stories he had read in books, yet it felt completely real. He glanced around the dusty attic, half expecting this to be some kind of trick, a hallucination, or even a clever prank by one of his friends. But nothing could explain the way Leora's eyes seemed to study him, as if she could see every thought he had ever had. Are you serious? He asked, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. I am as serious as the air you breathe, Leora replied. I am bound to this lamp and to the wishes of the one who releases me. But remember, a wish is not just words. It is an intention. It can change lives for better or worse. Alex sat down on an old wooden crate, trying to calm his racing heart. He had so many questions. How could a being like this exist? Was magic real? Could he trust her? And most importantly, what should he wish for? The possibilities seemed endless, and the pressure weighed on him immediately. As he thought, he remembered the stories he had heard about people who wished for wealth, fame, or power. They often got what they wanted, but in twisted ways that brought misery or regret. He realized that making a wish without thinking could be dangerous, not just for him but for the people around him. Leora seemed to sense his hesitation. She did not rush him. Instead, she floated a little closer, her eyes softening, though her expression remained serious. Many humans think only of themselves, she said quietly. They ask for things they desire without considering the consequences. But some are different. They can choose wisely and sometimes even selflessly. Perhaps you are one of those humans, Alex. Her words struck him. Alex realized that this was not just about wishes or magic. It was about responsibility, about understanding what truly mattered in life. He thought of his family, of his friends, of the small community he lived in. He remembered times when people had misunderstood each other, when arguments and pain had left scars that never fully healed. For the first time, he thought about using a wish not for himself but for the greater good. The attic, once quiet and dusty, seemed to pulse with energy. Dust motes floated in the air, catching the light from a small window, and Alex felt the weight of the moment. This wasn't just a magical encounter. It was a turning point. The decision he made now could change lives forever, not just his own. He looked at Leora again. There was a mixture of curiosity and caution in her eyes, a hint that she was both testing him and observing him closely. It was clear she had been granting wishes for centuries, but Alex noticed something in her expression that was unusual. Surprise. She had clearly not expected a human like him to approach this moment with thoughtfulness rather than greed. Alex's mind wandered to the possibilities. What could he ask for that would truly make a difference? He could wish for money, but he already had enough to live comfortably. He could wish for fame or adventure, but those things felt shallow now. What about something deeper, something meaningful? He realized that the world was full of misunderstandings, of anger, of hurt caused by selfishness. Perhaps a wish that brought understanding, peace, or connection could be more powerful than any treasure or fame. Time seemed to stretch as he pondered. The air in the attic felt heavier, charged with the magic of possibilities. Leora waited patiently, her presence calm yet commanding. She did not interrupt his thoughts, yet her eyes never left him. Alex realized that this was a rare moment in life, a chance to make a choice that could ripple outward in ways he could not yet imagine. Finally, Alex made a small, tentative step. He spoke softly, almost as if testing the sound of his own words. I want to make a wish, he said. Leora nodded, encouraging yet cautious. She reminded him gently again of the rules. 3 wishes, consequences to consider, and the power he now held. Alex took a deep breath. He knew that once he spoke his wish, nothing would ever be the same again. The attic felt almost alive now, as if it were holding its breath with him. Dust danced in the light, and the air shimmered with the energy of magic. Alex felt a strange combination of fear and excitement, but also a deep sense of responsibility. He was no longer just a curious young man in an attic. He was someone who had been given a power that few humans ever experienced, and with that power came the weight of choice. As he prepared to speak, Leora's eyes softened one last time, hinting at her own hope and perhaps curiosity. She had seen countless humans squander their wishes, but something about Alex told her this encounter might be different. And so, in the quiet attic filled with dust, light, and anticipation, the stage was set for a first wish that would shock even the ancient Genie herself. A wish that would set in motion a chain of events no one could have predicted. Alex's heart pounded and the world seemed to hold its breath. The Genie, the lamp, the centuries of magic all converged in this single moment. Whatever he wished for next would change everything. For him, for those around him, and perhaps even for Leora herself. The ordinary day of exploring an attic had transformed into an extraordinary beginning, and Alex was about to take a step into a story far bigger than he had ever imagined. Alex's mind was spinning after the extraordinary encounter with Leora, the Genie. He had seen a magical being appear from a dusty lamp, a phenomenon that would have been impossible to believe if it weren't happening right before his eyes. But now he had to make a decision, a wish. The weight of it pressed on him like nothing he had ever felt before. Unlike the fanciful stories he had read, this wasn't just a game. This was real. Whatever he wished for would become reality. The thought both thrilled and terrified him. At first, Alex's mind wandered to ordinary desires. He imagined wealth, fame, travel, even superhuman abilities. He could see himself living a life of comfort, traveling the world without worry, becoming someone admired and envied by others. And yet, as he considered these things, he felt a strange emptiness. He realized that all these desires were about him, about his personal gain, and somehow they felt shallow. Leora, sensing his hesitation, watched silently, as if waiting for the moment when Alex would truly understand the magnitude of his power. The attic was quiet, save for the soft hum that seemed to emanate from the lamp itself. Dust motes floated lazily in the sunlight, sparkling in the air as if marking the importance of this moment. Alex thought about the people he loved, the people he had seen suffer, and the arguments and misunderstandings he had witnessed in his neighborhood and among his family. He remembered times when friends had fought over petty matters, when family members had gone months without speaking to each other, when strangers had walked past someone in need without offering help. It struck him that human pain was often caused not by lack of money or success, but by lack of understanding, empathy, and forgiveness. A bold thought entered his mind. What if, instead of thinking of himself, he wished for something that could help others, that could bring real change? The idea both excited and terrified him. No one had ever made a wish like that. Leora's eyes, ancient and wise, widened slightly, almost imperceptibly, but Alex noticed it. The Genie had granted countless wishes over centuries, and most were selfish. Riches, power, revenge, fame, these were the usual requests. But Alex was thinking differently. He wanted to wish for something invisible yet powerful, something that could touch hearts and change the way people treated each other. He imagined the ripple effect his wish could create. Families could reconcile, neighbors could forgive each other, communities could come together, and small acts of kindness could spread across the town like a gentle wave. The thought of creating that kind of change thrilled him. He felt a sense of responsibility he had never felt before. He realized that magic was not just about getting what he wanted. It was about choosing wisely and understanding the consequences. A wish could heal, but it could also harm if made recklessly. Leora waited patiently, her expression calm yet alert. She had seen humans make impulsive decisions many times before, and she had watched with amusement and sorrow as their wishes often backfired. But there was something different about Alex. She sensed depth in him, a maturity and thoughtfulness rare among humans who wielded such power. She did not say anything, letting him come to his own understanding. Her silence carried weight. It was as if she were silently guiding him toward the realization that a wish was not a toy, but a responsibility. After a long pause, Alex finally spoke, his voice steady but filled with a mixture of hope and nervousness. I wish that everyone could truly understand and forgive each other," he said, words that felt heavier than he expected. The moment the wish left his lips, the atmosphere in the attic seemed to shift. Light seemed to bend and shimmer around him, and the dust motes danced more energetically, as if the air itself had recognized the significance of what he had just spoken. Leora's reaction was immediate, though subtle. Her eyes widened, and for the first time she looked genuinely stunned. She had seen wishes for money, fame, power, immortality, and revenge. But a wish like this, a wish born of empathy and selflessness, was something entirely new. She studied Alex carefully, as if trying to understand the human who could think in such a profound and selfless way. Centuries of granting wishes had left her somewhat cynical, but this moment made her pause. For the first time, she felt something akin to hope for humanity. Almost instantly, Alex began to notice subtle changes around him. He looked out the attic window and saw his neighbors speaking to one another with warmth that had never existed before. Old grudges seemed to dissolve. Smiles appeared where there had been frowns, and people who had long ignored each other were now interacting with kindness. He could hear the sounds of laughter and gentle conversation drifting from nearby houses, and he realized that his wish had already started to take effect. As the day progressed, the impact of his first wish became clearer. Conflicts that had seemed impossible to resolve were now settling peacefully. Long-standing feuds between families were smoothed over, and even strangers seemed to go out of their way to help one another. Alex felt a mixture of awe and disbelief. He had expected something small, maybe subtle, but the effect was immediate and widespread. He began to understand the real power of a wish made with selflessness and intention. Leora watched quietly, a faint smile playing on her lips. She had never expected a human to use a wish in such a thoughtful, compassionate way. It was not just the content of the wish that surprised her, but the understanding behind it, the recognition that human connection, empathy, and forgiveness were more valuable than gold or power. Alex's choice reflected a wisdom that she had rarely encountered in centuries of observing humans. But with the beauty of the wish came complexity. Alex quickly realized that while most people were responding with kindness, not everyone understood the sudden shift. Some were confused, some overwhelmed by the changes, and some reacted with skepticism. The human mind, accustomed to distrust and self-interest, could be slow to accept sudden change. Alex felt a growing awareness of the responsibility he now carried. A wish could change the world, but it also required guidance and careful thought to ensure the outcomes were truly positive. Through it all, Alex felt a deep sense of fulfillment. He realized that magic was not just about granting desires, it was about insight, intention, and responsibility. He had learned that true power lay not in taking, but in giving. He had seen, even in the short span of hours, the impact that a thoughtful act could have on the world around him. And though the road ahead was uncertain, he felt ready to continue, to make his next choices with care, and to explore the potential of the 2 remaining wishes. By the end of the day, the attic no longer felt ordinary. Dust, sunlight, and the lingering aura of magic filled the space with an almost sacred energy. Alex looked at Leora, who now seemed both teacher and companion, and realized that this experience was changing him as much as it was changing the world. The first wish had not only altered the lives of those around him, It had transformed him as well, opening his mind and heart to a broader understanding of humanity, empathy, and the responsibility that comes with extraordinary power. The stage was now set for the next chapter of his journey. The first wish had rippled outward, creating a wave of understanding and forgiveness. But Alex knew that the second and third wishes would require even more thought, wisdom, and courage. He had glimpsed the potential of selfless intention, and he was determined to continue using his power in ways that could truly make a difference. After making his first wish, Alex thought the world would simply become a better place overnight. He imagined smiles, reconciliations, and peace spreading effortlessly. At first, that's exactly what seemed to happen. Families argued less, neighbors greeted each other warmly, and strangers were more considerate. It was as if a wave of understanding and forgiveness had washed over his small town. Alex watched all of this unfold with amazement, feeling a mix of pride, relief, and awe. The first wish had worked in ways he had only hoped for. Yet as he spent more time observing, he realized that even good intentions can create unexpected consequences. The initial joy and kindness that his wish brought soon started to reveal complexities. People were reacting to the sudden shift in behavior in different ways. Some were genuinely grateful for the newfound understanding, while others felt confused, even suspicious. Alex noticed elderly neighbors hesitating before offering apologies, as if unsure why they suddenly felt compelled to forgive past grievances. Teenagers who had been stubborn and defensive just days before now showed unusual openness, making some of their peers uncomfortable. Alex realized that while his wish had sparked change, humans were not simple creatures. Emotions, habits, and personal histories were deeply intertwined, and altering the flow of feelings in people's hearts was not a clean or straightforward process. One afternoon, Alex walked down the street watching the results of his wish unfold in real life. At first, he smiled as he saw Mrs. Gardner, a woman who had quarreled with her neighbor for years over property disputes, shaking hands and laughing as if nothing had ever happened. A few steps away, he saw his best friend, Liam, apologizing to someone he had unknowingly offended months earlier. These moments were touching, almost magical. But then Alex noticed smaller, unexpected reactions. People were unsure how to respond to forgiveness they hadn't earned or given voluntarily. Some felt guilty, others overwhelmed, and a few even frustrated because old tensions now felt meaningless or forced. Alex realized that a wish, no matter how well-intentioned, could not erase the complexities of human emotions instantly. Leora observed Alex closely during this time. She had seen countless humans make wishes and face unforeseen consequences, and she knew that this was Alex's true test. A wish could change circumstances, but it could not instantly change understanding, maturity, or wisdom in people. Alex had chosen selflessness and empathy over selfish desires, and that was rare. Yet even the purest wishes demanded careful thought about the aftermath. Leora began to mentor him subtly, offering insights about human behavior and the nature of change. "Alex," Leora said one afternoon as they walked through a local park, "your wish is powerful, but humans are not always ready for instant understanding. Some will embrace it, some will resist. You have given them a gift, but how they use it depends on their own choices." Alex nodded, beginning to understand what she meant. He could spark change, but he could not control how everyone responded. A wish could open a door, but it could not force every person to walk through it willingly. The realization humbled him. It was one thing to desire a better world, and another to accept that change required patience, guidance, and understanding of human nature. In the following days, Alex faced challenges he hadn't anticipated. His first wish created opportunities for reconciliation, but it also revealed hidden tensions. Families who had avoided confrontations for years now faced raw emotions as suppressed feelings surfaced. People who had relied on grudges to maintain power or control felt threatened and confused. While the overall effect of the wish was positive, Alex realized that understanding and forgiveness were processes, not instant fixes. They required reflection, effort, and sometimes even struggle. During this time, Alex himself changed in ways he had not expected. He became more aware of the subtleties in people's emotions, more patient in his judgments, and more reflective about his own behavior. He realized that his first wish was not just about helping others, it was about transforming himself. The responsibility of wielding such power weighed on him, and he felt a growing sense of accountability. Every interaction became more significant, every choice more deliberate. He was no longer just a young man who had discovered a magical lamp. He was someone shaping reality, even if only in small ways, and he needed to think carefully about what he would do next. The challenges extended beyond personal relationships. Alex began noticing the broader effects of his wish in his town. Local businesses started treating each other more fairly. Schools reported fewer conflicts among students, and even law enforcement noticed a slight decrease in disputes. Yet he also realized that not all change was easy or straightforward. People struggled with the sudden responsibility that empathy brought. Where once they had justified their anger or selfishness, they now faced a need to act kindly even when it was inconvenient or uncomfortable. Alex saw firsthand that a better world required effort, not just magic. Through all of this, Leora remained a steady guide. She did not interfere with his choices, but she offered wisdom when he needed it. She explained that magic could only do so much. The rest depended on human courage, wisdom, and commitment. Alex began to understand the true depth of his first wish. It had created opportunity, yes, but it was up to him and those around him to nurture it, cultivate it, and sustain it. The experience taught him that change, even positive change, could bring discomfort, challenge, and growth. One evening, Alex reflected on the events of the past few days. He sat on a bench in the park watching children play and neighbors converse. The air was calm yet vibrant with the energy of possibility. He realized that his first wish had not only affected others, it had reshaped his perception of the world. He understood that empathy was powerful but also demanding. Forgiveness and understanding were not simple acts. They required patience, effort, and courage. He felt both proud and humbled, knowing he had taken the first step toward something greater, yet aware that the journey was far from over. The first wish had given him insight into the complexities of human nature. He had learned that even the most selfless acts could bring unexpected challenges, and that true change required time, guidance, and persistence. Alex now approached his second wish with a deeper awareness. He understood that every choice carried weight, that magic was not a shortcut, and that the real power lay in intention, thoughtfulness, and the courage to act wisely. Through the experience, Alex grew closer to Leora. Their relationship evolved from curiosity and awe to mentorship and mutual respect. She saw in him the rare potential for wisdom and compassion, while he learned to appreciate the depth of her knowledge and the weight of her role as a genie. Together, they began to navigate the consequences of the first wish, discussing strategies, anticipating challenges, and considering how to use the remaining wishes with care. By the end of this period, Alex had changed profoundly. He had witnessed the positive and challenging outcomes of his wish, understood the limitations of even the most powerful magic, and grown in empathy and wisdom. The experience had prepared him for the next step, the second wish, which would require even more thoughtfulness and self-awareness. He now knew that magic could influence the world, but it could not replace human effort, understanding, and courage. Alex realized that his journey was not just about granting wishes, it was about learning, growing, and understanding the profound responsibility of wielding such power. The first wish had been a test of his character, his empathy, and his foresight. And though it brought both joy and challenge, it had laid the foundation for the next phase of his extraordinary adventure, one where he would continue to explore the balance between magic, human nature, and the choices that shape the world. After seeing the effects and challenges of his first wish, Alex spent days reflecting on what he truly wanted to do with the remaining two. His first wish, which had focused on empathy and forgiveness, had already transformed the town in ways he had only imagined in his dreams. Families reconciled, old friends mended their broken bonds, and strangers began to help each other in unexpected ways. Yet Alex also noticed that understanding and forgiveness, though spreading, were not automatic or effortless. Some people struggled with the change, unsure of how to act or respond. The first wish had created an opportunity, but it had also revealed the complexities of human nature. Now Alex faced the decision of his second wish, and he knew he had to think even more carefully. He began to consider his own life and experiences more deeply. Alex realized that while the first wish had affected others, he himself had changed in profound ways as well. He had become more patient, more thoughtful, and more aware of the emotions of people around him. He noticed subtleties in conversations, unspoken feelings, and motivations that he had never recognized before. He could sense tension in others even when they smiled or pretended to be calm. He could feel the weight of regret or guilt that someone carried quietly. This heightened perception both fascinated and overwhelmed him, and he knew it was connected to the responsibility his first wish had placed on him. He had not only granted a gift to others, he had opened his own heart and mind to a deeper understanding of humanity. Leora, the Genie, watched Alex closely during this time. She had seen humans make many selfish wishes over centuries, but Alex's thoughtful approach had caught her attention. Unlike those who sought wealth, power, or fame, Alex was looking inward, considering growth, understanding, and human connection. She realized that he was rare, someone who could use magic not just for immediate gain, but to create meaningful and lasting change. Her eyes softened and she began to guide him subtly, helping him understand the full potential of his next wish without imposing her will. One afternoon, as they walked through the town, Alex observed people interacting in ways he had never noticed before. Children who had been shy or withdrawn were playing together happily. Adults were listening to each other with patience and respect, even when they disagreed. He saw neighbors cooperating on projects and strangers offering help without hesitation. Yet Alex also saw moments of confusion, frustration, or hesitation. Some people were struggling to understand the sudden shift in their own hearts and the hearts of others. He realized that true understanding required not just magic, but also empathy, reflection, and practice. It was in this moment of reflection that Alex decided on his second wish. He wanted something that would help him navigate this new reality, something that would allow him to better understand people and connect with them on a deeper level. He wanted insight, clarity, and emotional intelligence, the ability to perceive the feelings, intentions, and needs of others without judgment. He understood that this was not a wish for power or advantage, but a wish for awareness and understanding, which could help him guide positive change more effectively. When he spoke his wish aloud, Leora's eyes widened slightly, a mixture of surprise and admiration. Few humans had asked for a wish that focused on personal growth rather than material gain. "I wish to better understand myself and the people around me," Alex said. "I want to empathize, to connect, and to act wisely." The words felt powerful as they left his lips, carrying intention and sincerity. Leora's voice was calm but filled with emotion as she responded, "Your wish reflects true insight. Knowledge of the heart is as valuable as any treasure, and understanding others can shape the world in ways magic alone cannot." Immediately, Alex felt a subtle shift within himself. It was not a sudden, overwhelming flood of knowledge, but a gradual opening of perception. He began to notice layers of emotion and intention in people's words and actions. A simple greeting could carry hidden concern. A frown might mask kindness. He understood why someone acted a certain way, even if their actions seemed confusing or frustrating at first. This heightened awareness allowed him to approach interactions with patience and clarity, seeing both the visible and invisible sides of human behavior. As Alex practiced using this newfound understanding, he discovered that it could resolve conflicts quickly and effectively. Arguments that once seemed impossible to settle now had solutions he could discern. Misunderstandings could be clarified, and tensions could be eased with careful words and thoughtful action. People began to respond to him in ways they had not before, trusting him and confiding their concerns. He realized that the second wish had not only helped him grow, but had also amplified the effects of his first wish, making forgiveness and empathy more sustainable in the community. Leora observed all of this quietly, noting how Alex's second wish had created a synergy between personal growth and societal change. She had witnessed humans become greedy, reckless, or short-sighted, but Alex was using his abilities responsibly and selflessly. The combination of the first and second wishes was creating a positive ripple effect far beyond what either of them had imagined. Leora began to feel hope for humanity in a way she had not felt for centuries, seeing that humans could rise to challenges and use extraordinary opportunities with wisdom. Alex also began to see himself differently. The second wish gave him insight not only into others but also into his own motivations, fears, and desires. He understood why he had made his first wish and the deeper intentions behind it. He realized that his empathy and desire to help others were not just spontaneous acts, but reflections of who he truly was. This awareness made him more confident in his choices, yet it also reminded him of the responsibility he carried. He was no longer just a young man with a magical lamp. He was someone shaping lives, guiding understanding and influencing outcomes through thoughtfulness and care. The days following the second wish were filled with learning and growth. Alex practiced listening more attentively, offering advice carefully and mediating conflicts when needed. He saw families becoming more honest and open, friends reconciling after years of silence, and communities working together with renewed understanding. He realized that empathy was not just a feeling. It was an action, a choice, and a skill that could be developed and refined. With the second wish, he could influence this process in subtle, meaningful ways. Through all of this, Alex and Leora developed a stronger bond. She had once been a distant, almost untouchable magical being, but now she became a guide, a mentor, and even a companion in his journey. Alex appreciated her wisdom, patience, and insight, while Leora began to see the potential for humans to evolve, learn, and grow in ways she had rarely witnessed. Together, they navigated the complexities of human emotions and the unexpected consequences of wishes, preparing for the final, most important choice of all. As the effects of the second wish deepened, Alex felt a growing sense of purpose. He understood that magic could open doors, create opportunities, and alter circumstances, but lasting change required intention, understanding, and courage. His journey was no longer just about making wishes. It was about learning, growing, and guiding others to realize their own potential for empathy and forgiveness. The second wish had not only transformed him, but it also amplified the positive effects of his first wish, setting the stage for a final choice that could change everything for both humans and Leora herself. By the end of this period, Alex was more aware than ever of the delicate balance between power, responsibility, and human nature. He had seen the beauty and the challenge of empathy, the complexity of forgiveness, and the subtle influence one person could have when guided by understanding. The second wish had brought clarity, insight, and emotional growth, preparing him for the final step in his extraordinary journey, the third wish, which would require the same careful thought, wisdom, and courage. After making his second wish, Alex felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. He had learned so much about himself, about people, and about the weight of the power he held. The first wish had brought empathy and forgiveness into his town, and the second had given him the insight to understand and connect with people on a deeper level. He could see the effects of both wishes rippling through the community, changing lives in ways that were subtle yet profound. And now only one wish remained, the third and final wish, the one that would mark the culmination of his extraordinary journey. Alex understood that this wish was more than just an opportunity for personal gain. He had seen how quickly wishes could backfire if made impulsively or selfishly. He also realized that while the first two wishes had been about helping others and growing as a person, the third wish could be something transformative not only for him but also for Leora, the genie who had guided him through this journey. For the first time, he considered the possibility of using a wish not for himself, but for someone else entirely. Leora had been with him through all of this, teaching him through quiet observation and gentle guidance. She had shown patience and wisdom, never pressuring him but offering advice when necessary. Alex had grown to appreciate her not just as a magical being but as a friend, a mentor, and a companion. He had seen the sacrifices she had made over centuries, bound to a lamp and tasked with granting wishes to humans who often misused them. For a long time, she had been trapped, her freedom denied. Alex realized that if anyone deserved a selfless wish, it was Leora. After days of reflection, Alex made his decision. He approached Leora, feeling a mixture of courage and anticipation. "I've decided," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "For my third wish, I want you to be free. I want you to experience life as a human, to live without being bound to the lamp and to explore the world fully on your own terms." Leora's reaction was immediate and overwhelming. She looked at him, stunned, as if she could hardly believe the words he had spoken. Tears filled her eyes, not of sadness but of gratitude and disbelief. Centuries of being bound, of existing only to serve others' wishes, had left her weary and longing for freedom. Alex's wish offered her something she had never imagined possible: a life beyond the lamp, a chance to experience the ordinary world with all its challenges, joys, and possibilities. She had seen humans act selfishly for centuries, but here was one who had thought not of wealth, fame, or even adventure, but of another being's freedom. As soon as Alex spoke the words, a gentle, golden light surrounded Leora. She felt the chains of centuries dissolve. The invisible bonds that had confined her to the lamp vanished completely. For the first time in her existence, she could move freely, think freely, and choose freely. She was no longer a servant of magic alone. She was a being with her own path, capable of experiencing life just as humans did. Leora looked around at the town, at the people she had observed for centuries but never truly lived among. The colors, the sounds, the simple interactions of everyday life now seemed vivid and full of wonder. Alex watched her transformation with a mixture of awe and happiness. He realized that this third wish was not just about granting freedom to a magical being. It was also about completing the journey he himself had begun. He had started as a curious young man in an attic, unsure of what lay ahead, and now he had become someone capable of selflessness, empathy, and wisdom. By thinking of Leora and her needs, he had extended the lessons he had learned through his first two wishes. As Leora stepped fully into her new life, she began to explore the world around her with a sense of childlike wonder. She tasted the freedom of choice, the ability to wander, to interact, to laugh and cry without the weight of obligation pressing on her. Alex accompanied her at first, helping her navigate human life, introducing her to experiences she had only observed from a distance. They walked through the town, observing people going about their lives, interacting with curiosity and delight. Every ordinary moment felt extraordinary to Leora now, and Alex shared in her wonder, realizing how magical the human experience could be when truly appreciated. The town, too, began to notice the changes. Leora, once a distant figure bound to a lamp, now moved among them as a person. She interacted with kindness and wisdom, offering help and guidance without the expectation of reward. People felt drawn to her, sensing the depth of her experience and the sincerity of her presence. Alex realized that his third wish had not only transformed Leora's life, but also added a new source of positive influence to the town. Her freedom and wisdom became another force for empathy, understanding, and connection, reinforcing the changes already set in motion by his first two wishes. Over time, Alex and Leora developed a partnership unlike any other. They shared ideas, solved problems, and worked together to help people in ways that combined human insight and magical perspective. Leora taught Alex about the long history of wishes, about the choices humans had made over centuries, and the lessons she had learned from observing countless generations. Alex, in turn, showed her the beauty of ordinary human life, the emotions, struggles, and triumphs that magic could not fully create but only enhance. Together they formed a bond of mutual respect, friendship, and shared purpose. Yet even with freedom, Leora faced challenges. She had to learn to live in a world she had only observed, to navigate human experiences she had never participated in before. Alex supported her, but he also realized that growth and understanding required patience. He had learned through his first two wishes that even the best intentions could create complexity. Leora's journey into human life was similar, full of learning, mistakes, and discoveries. The process reminded Alex of how intertwined human experience was with effort, understanding, and the courage to act thoughtfully. In the final weeks of the story, Alex reflected on all that had happened. From the dusty attic to the release of a genie, he had experienced extraordinary events that transformed not only the town but himself and Leora as well. He had learned the importance of selflessness, empathy, and understanding. He had seen the complexities of human nature and realized that true change required effort, patience, and courage. And he had learned that power, when used wisely, could create a ripple effect that touched countless lives in meaningful ways. As the story concluded, Alex and Leora walked side by side through the town, no longer bound by the constraints of magic or fear. They had shared an extraordinary journey, one that had started with curiosity and ended with growth, freedom, and connection. People around them felt the positive energy they carried, even if they did not fully understand the source. Alex realized that the wishes had not just changed circumstances. They had shaped hearts, minds, and the way people approached life itself. The final wish, granting freedom to Leora, symbolized the culmination of everything Alex had learned. It reflected his empathy, his wisdom, and his recognition that true magic lay not in wealth or power, but in selflessness, understanding, and the courage to act for the benefit of others. Leora's freedom was a testament to his journey, a living reminder that extraordinary choices could create extraordinary results. In the end, Alex had begun as a curious young man with a magical lamp, uncertain and inexperienced. He had faced challenges, learned profound lessons, and made choices that reflected thoughtfulness, empathy, and courage. Leora, the ancient genie, had been transformed from a bound magical being into a free individual capable of experiencing life fully. Together they had shaped a better world, leaving a lasting mark not through material wealth or fame, but through understanding, kindness, and freedom. Their journey ended not with an ending, but with a beginning, the beginning of lives enriched by wisdom, connection, and the extraordinary potential of thoughtful choices.